Welcome to Popping Culture, episode 10. I'm Jay.
I'm Adrian, and for those of you watching in Rome, episode 10.
All right, you may notice that we're a little bit later this week than we are normally.
That'd be my fault.
There were some things that happened this week, but we're recording on a Friday.
Halloween Friday.
Which, if I remember right, yesterday was Thursday.
That is how that works.
And tomorrow is Saturday.
Hold on. Friday. Yes.
All right, thank you, Rebecca Black, for teaching me my days of the week.
Wow.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
No.
I was waiting for that one.
Okay, moving on to something I care more about than Rebecca Black. Beer. Specifically, not just any beer. We're drinking a Salted Belgian Chocolate Stout made by New Belgium Brewing Company and the Perennial Artisan Ales. I want to read this bottle to you and Google it because the bottle's really cool looking.
Yeah, it is a very interesting looking bottle.
And as I saw this bottle, you know what the first thing I thought of was? This should be one of the ones we cut into a glass for
Oh,
us.
yeah, if we can ever get that to work.
Just buy more of these.
Right.
So to read you the description, dessert is best poured. And the brewers at Perennial agree. So we dreamt up a beer that would bring together chocolate sweetness, Belgian yeast, deeply roasted malts, and just the right shake of salt to pour a creamy stout worthy of a cherry on top.
I feel like our cups aren't fancy enough to pour this into.
The only other cups I have are the whiskey glasses because we are not recording this at anybody's home, but
Right.
a warehouse.
In a very unmarked, nondescript warehouse. Don't try to find us. So,
Only one of you knows where it is, and if she speaks,
so we were at Special Brews earlier, and that's where we picked this up at. And we were looking around, and I was looking at some stuff, and I just hear you over in the background. You kind of gasped a little bit. I'm like, what? And you're like, this beer. And you told me what it was, and you told me who the brewer was. And I was kind of surprised New Belgium would have something this fancy. For those of you that are familiar with New Belgium, some of the stuff they brew are Fat Tire. That's kind of their big one.
1854, yeah.
Yeah. But then you said it's their Artisan series.
It is their
like,
Artisan series. So it's part of the Lips of Faith series, which I'm not sure what exactly that means. But they had a couple other beers similar to this. So let's give it a shot.
Yeah, that's real good.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
That is better than the beer I had earlier today.
The one that, you didn't like your...
My bear that had a poncho wearing antlers on the can.
It's a beer.
Oh, my God. Of course it's beer. I was drinking it.
Right. So I don't remember what the company was now. You were drinking... It was a Mexican brewer.
It wasn't... It's from California.
Yeah,
I don't know why she said Mexican.
So it was a Euro lager or something like that. But it had a picture on the can of a beer... A bear with antlers wearing a poncho.
Yes.
So we asked Annie, who is one of the owners there, what the hell is this? She's like, it's beer. We're like, no, we get that. We understand we're drinking, it's a beer we're drinking. What is the picture on? She's like, it's a beer. What? Half bear, half deer. Beer. I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me.
It doesn't.
And apparently there's shirts that have a beer on them.
I blame hipsters.
No, absolutely.
I can see a dude twirling his mustache wax, right, halfway thinning, wearing that stupid beer shirt and like tight jeans tucked into his hipster boots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to explain to you how he liked it before it was cool.
Right, and how beer in cans is better than beer in bottles.
Oh, that fucking liar. It's a lie. It's a lie. Like, I don't, no. That's like, you know what? Beer 30 Light.
Oh, God.
Which the review stated what? Fruity metallic taste.
Yeah, that's what I look for in my beer, is a fruity metallic taste.
Ugh.
For those of you who are not familiar with Beer 30, this is something that I discovered today. And I'm not talking about like, oh, hey, it's Beer 30, let's go get a drink. But that's what they named the beer after.
Yep.
I was reading over a list of the 36 cheapest beers in America. And this came in at like number 4 or something like that. It's bright purple cans. And it's called Beer 30. And I think the box says something like, any time is the right time for Beer 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something that extent.
And then it just essentially shows 30 for every part of a clock. That's in drink a beer now.
Yeah. This was grouped in with things like Natty Ice, Milwaukee's Best.
Simpler times.
Keystone. So it tells you what kind of company that's in.
Keystone under the bus. Oh.
Because we don't want to waste the bus time with Keystone.
Oh, I got to cook chicken and something. I mean, Keystone's pretty good to make food
Well, and that's the thing with these cheap beers. That's what you do a beer can chicken, you do some beer chili, something like
It's
that.
delicious.
Beer bread, but I'm not gonna drink it. This I will drink.
Yeah, no, this is really good.
So, we've had our beer.
We've had our beer.
We've went on our beer rant,
We did go on a beer rant.
part 1.
I mean, unless you want to talk about Boise beer again, because I'm not over this atrocity.
No, I think we covered that fair enough last time.
Then let's talk about television.
Okay.
Let's start off with Constantine. We both watched it.
Yes.
Tell me your thoughts. I'll tell you my
Constantine.
thoughts, and we'll go from there.
So, I actually watched this show about 2 months ago.
After they debut in San Diego.
Sure.
Wasn't that it?
I think it might have been before that.
No, because I talked to you about it while I was in San Diego.
Was it? Okay, then maybe
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
July-ish. Yeah. Anyways, I had no problem with the episode as a standalone episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the thing that I have an issue with, and for those of you who don't know this already, you should, because I think the second episode is... Oh, it's tonight.
Today.
It's today.
Yeah.
So by the time you see the second episode, we'll have already shown up. The female lead in the first episode...
What if they're watching this from the future?
What?
Never mind, go ahead.
Are we getting into, like, Back to the Future time travel?
Yeah,
stuff
it
now?
was. Yeah, it was.
Are you Bishop or Shard? I'm confused.
To be fair, I'm half of each. I don't know what I'm going to wear for Halloween yet. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So the female lead in the first episode is only in the first episode. They announced a month and a half, 2 months ago that they were recasting the female lead for all the episodes after the pilot episode. And it's not even going to be the same character.
That's right.
It's a whole different character that's actually from the comics. So my issue with the episode is you spend the full episode getting introduced to this person, and they're setting it up as this long-term relationship of them going and finding demons together, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, just kidding, never mind.
And I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think, so for those of you who haven't watched it, put
Episode
this
1,
on pause,
episode 1.
go watch episode 1, come back to now. You're caught up now? Okay. So the girl is a scryer like her father, who is a friend of John Constantine, so she can point out where trouble is. He teaches her how to do it. She realizes it's just too much hassle for her. She doesn't want to live this life, and she goes off. But she leaves him with a map of where all these atrocities are taking place so he can go stop them all. So I think it's a great showing because the episode starts off with you learn that he lost the young soul.
Right.
He doesn't want to do it again. He gave this girl a choice, and she chose not to do it. And he was happy with that. I think it shows progression in the character, and it still lays out the whole season because he knows where all these atrocities are going to happen. I'm sure the girl will come up every now and then.
I doubt it.
But it's like other TV shows. Like if you watch CSI or those type of shows where there's some characters that only in it based around them for that one episode, their story's resolved, they move on. I'd rather they resolve her story and decide she doesn't want to pursue this life than to kind of drag it out needlessly.
I just think they spent too much time trying to make me care about this girl. And, I heard this quote once that says, with great power comes great responsibility. And she's not taking responsibility for her power.
Okay, that's...
Uncle Ben would be disappointed.
He's rolling over in his grave. Both graves, Ultimate Tradition and ours.
Right, yeah. Even his rice is rolling around. It's terrible.
Oh, Uncle Ben rice jokes. Anyways,
other than that, I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
and
The effects were nice.
I'm especially surprised to see it in a primetime top channel spot.
Yeah.
Friday night on NBC. I mean, I assumed they were going to stuff it away on like a Tuesday or Thursday or something like that.
Put it on the CW with everything else.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually glad they didn't. It doesn't fit the CW feel.
No.
All those shows have the same feel. I'm glad that they didn't put it on there. I'm looking forward to what happens. I'm hoping it gets a second season. I know that they're hesitant because of how much it costs to make this show.
Right, there's a
because
lot
the
of effects. Yeah.
So many effects, but it looked really good.
They got Comcast money, it's fine.
That's right. The Xfinity money now, right?
Sorry, yes, Xfinity money.
The only question I had for you, and we'll move on to other shows, is I know you watched it after San Diego. Did you watch the episode that actually debuted?
Yes.
Was there any differences?
I feel like there was. I don't recall off the top of my head. I'd have to actually go. I have the original version still, so I'd have to watch them.
But more like minor changes, nothing like too huge.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So her send off was it the same at both? The way she left?
I'm trying to remember now.
Oh, see.
I'm almost wondering if that wasn't in the original episode. Because like I said, it was 2 or 3 months ago now I watched it. I think they may have changed that.
Maybe that's why for me it was my fresh pair of eyes. I'm like, oh, I'm totally happy with this.
Maybe I'll have to go back and watch the original one again.
Okay, yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
We will patiently wait. Go ahead, go watch it. You want to talk about other shows instead?
Yeah,
maybe?
let's do that.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about other shows.
So next week I'll have reviewed. So what else have you been watching?
I watched my favorite. Like Halloween is my favorite week.
So you watched a lot of Sleepy Hollow. That's what you're saying?
No, I don't watch Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
Halloween's my favorite week because every show does a Halloween episode, and I fucking love those, man.
So
I'm in Christmas episodes.
Okay. So here's my thought on Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
They are great if you're watching them around Halloween. When you're binge watching a show, say
and it's like June.
Yeah, in June, and you're watching the Halloween episode, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't go over quite as well. But yes, if you're watching it in context, it makes
Which I am. Thank you to the Hulu Plus.
Right.
So I watched the new Modern Family, which was fantastic.
Okay.
The new Marry Me, which continually seems to surprise me. Like the first episode was really good, and I recommended it. And I thought for romantic comedy, they weren't going to be able to keep that steam going. I thought it would have died off quickly.
Okay.
Episode 3, just as good as the other one. So really enjoyed that. That was Marry Me. What was the other Halloween episode I watched? I have house guests, so everything's kind of a blur. Been watching TV at my office. Oh, A to Z.
You mean you've been doing a lot of work at your office?
Yeah, I got 3 monitors. One of them can have TV, and I can still have 2 while I'm working. That's not even a joke.
No, yeah.
It's great. I recommend it for everybody. So yeah,
so A to Z was the other one.
A to Z was the other one. I gotta say, I've been surprised with all the shows so far that have been on the lineup. I've been really enjoying them. That was and Last Man Standing's Halloween episode.
Okay.
Was also funny. Predictable in the way that you expect it to be.
Right.
But you still just like Tim Allen being Tim Allen.
Right.
That's the only reason I watched that show.
Does he grunt in that show?
No grunting.
Weird.
But Al's been on the show.
Maybe that was a side effect of the cocaine.
That's he's sober now.
Yeah. So Richard Karn's been on there?
He has been on there.
So is he wearing plaid shirts?
No, he was wearing like a... But he did make a couple references to Tool Time.
Yeah.
Like Tool Time.
Oh, okay.
The show. And Jonathan Taylor Thomas has been on the show as well.
Nice.
And he references his 2 brothers. He references the neighbor. He references his annoying dad and grunts. So Jonathan Taylor Thomas grunted.
Nice.
And it was clearly looked at Tim Allen, and Tim Allen just smiled and laughed. Like, they didn't even try to hide that shit. It was great.
So, does Richard Karn say, "I don't think so"?
Yes. Yes, he does.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, that's been me for TV. I've been really pleased with what I have been watching. I've been watching more of American Horror Story. I only got two episodes left in season 2.
Okay.
The same reason I didn't like season 1 was all the weird rapey sex stuff.
Yeah.
There's only been 2 scenes in that so far in American Horror Story number 2, so I can kind of deal with it. Plus, since I'm doing so I'm like, I can do something else really fast and just not pay attention to the weird rapey scenes.
Yeah.
It all takes place in an asylum. There's the Angel of Death is now in it.
Of course.
One of the nuns is possessed by Lucifer.
Well, why not?
There are aliens.
What?
And mass murderers.
Okay, so 3 out of the 4 things you just mentioned I'm cool with.
Which one are you not okay with?
Why is there aliens in the asylum?
Right? So we're still not 100% sure. One of the guys got sent there because they thought he was the murderer. So obviously it's an asylum. They thought he was this blood-faced murderer. Sent him to the thing. And he's like, no, it was aliens. They kidnapped me and my wife. They're like, no, you're clearly delusional. Well, now as the show progresses, we find out, no, he's not delusional. There are some fucking aliens fucking with his shit. All up in his business.
I feel like they just brought in some weird writer one day, and he's like, get some aliens in there.
Yeah.
Good.
You know what you need? More aliens.
Use network notes. Some of the guys in the front office are just like, you got the rapey, you got the mass murders, you're in an asylum. What other weird thing? Let's throw some aliens in there.
Look at Fallen Sky's really big right now. Aliens. But to be fair, it was good. I'm enjoying this season much more. It does have a lot more violent scenes. The murder and blood has been amped up.
Okay.
I'm a little bit more okay with that kind of stuff than some other things. So I'm on board with this.
You play video games. You're used to bloody violence.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know exactly what I'm getting into. I've played Mortal Kombat, finished them. Chopped his head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've been catching up on that. I have to be honest. No desire to watch Arrow season 2.
Really?
I read the synopsis. I'm like, meh. And here's why. It's the same reason I hate Buffy. That's right, I said it. So what? Joss Whedon's a hack. He's done 2 good things with his life. What happens is she starts off as the show's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right. Yeah.
Not Buffy the Vampire Slayer and her gang of friends who all get powers along the way.
Okay.
I feel like that's just what's going on with Arrow at this point. As I read the synopsis, like everyone ends up like and in season 3, there's even more heroes that just were normal before. And now suddenly, oh, I'm gonna strap on a costume because I fucking know Kung Fu. I got no desire for that. I don't want it. I don't like the superhero shows that have to keep adding more and more support cast, stronger, better. Just the show's called Arrow, not Arrow and Friends. If it was called Arrow and the Super Friends, well then yeah, I'd be in.
So here's my thing. I think my own personal. I think the story in season 2 is way better than the story in season 1.
Okay.
Season 1 tended to be more of a villain of the week. Season 2 has an overarching storyline that lasts the entire season.
Sure, the Deathstroke story arc.
Yeah, both in flashback and present day.
Right.
So I think that continuity throughout the whole season makes it better. And then there's a couple other storylines going on. Yes, you do have a bigger cast of characters than just Ollie Queen, but it doesn't really grow beyond what you've seen in season 1.
So are you saying that perhaps the synopsis make it out to be more than it is?
Yes.
Okay.
There is, there's villains that come in. There's a decent rogues gallery of villains that come in.
That I don't mind so much.
So you see much more of those appearances. But in season 2, it is still just the core underground group that you see.
Okay.
Which I'm trying to remember at the end of season 1, I'm trying to remember who's all part of that group.
Diggs.
You've got Diggle, you've got Ollie, you've got Felicity.
That's it.
Okay.
Like, and that's what bothers me. Like, why is Roy suddenly some badass? Some kid from, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you're just some kid from the streets. You're not a badass.
Yeah, it's not like, you can go try to steal the Batmobile and become Robin or something.
That was a dark time for all of us, Jay.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
For all of us.
I personally, I actually prefer season 2 to season 1.
Okay.
It's your own choice.
I'll try it out. Again, like I said, I was just reading the synopsis and I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah.
What about you? Any other television?
So I watched a few more episodes of Heart of Dixie, which, laugh all you want, I think it's a hilarious show. I explained an episode to you earlier that you thought was pretty interesting.
It sounded funny to me.
I will now explain it to the 6 people that are watching. So in this town of Bluebell, Alabama, a few decades beforehand, they had a flood right around Thanksgiving time. It was like the night before or 2 nights before, something like that. Flooded the entire town. Everything was kind of destroyed. All the whole town was flooded. So you couldn't get to the stores. You couldn't get around anywhere. So there's a legend that says the night before Thanksgiving, some pirates floated into town on their ship, as they do.
As they do.
Noticed the town was all destroyed and took pity on the town. And instead of rummaging and pillaging and all that, they actually took food from their ship and put it out for the townspeople to eat, so that the townspeople could have a Thanksgiving dinner. And then they floated back out. So now they have the tradition in the town of not celebrating Thanksgiving, but instead celebrating Planksgiving.
Love it.
Because it's pirates. So everybody dresses up as pirates, and the food that the pirates left was a bunch of fish they had caught. So the town has a fish fry in the middle of town every year. So the whole town gets together, comes to the middle of town, has a fish fry in their pirate costumes, and celebrates Planksgiving. And I'm like, that's hilarious.
I love it.
Like,
I love it.
That is the most creative thing I've heard on a show in a long, long, long time.
And it was a fun episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Other than, a kid getting the bends.
Oh.
He was diving for the hidden treasure because his parents' hardware store was losing money. They were going to sell it because everybody buys stuff online. So he goes diving in his brother's scuba suit to get some treasure.
And he ends up getting the bends.
He ends up coming up too fast and getting the bends.
Julie Benz?
No.
Oh, that's a bummer then. He got no treasure.
No.
That
was that show.
No, please go ahead.
So that continues to be a good show. The other show that I've been watching, and I told you about this.
And this reminds me of the one I want to talk about. Okay. So, yeah, carry on.
So I found this show, and I keep telling people about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, I've seen that. So I don't know how I haven't heard of it before now. But it's called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And it's a project that...
what is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee about, Jay?
Well, here's the synopsis. It's a Jerry Seinfeld project. So he sat down and he was like, I need something to do. So he goes. Each episode features him in a different car because he's a huge car aficionado. It's him in a different car with a different comedian going to get coffee. Shocking, I know.
I didn't expect that from the title.
Yeah.
Wow.
So literally, it's just he picks them up. They drive around for a bit in his cars, and then they stop into like a diner or restaurant, whatever, and they get coffee and pie and whatever, and they just talk. A lot of it's talking about like how do you develop your bits. How'd you first get into comedy? What's your process? What are some of your favorite things you've done? That sort of thing. So it's literally just like a relaxed one-on-one conversation. Sure. And seeing some of the cars they drive is pretty interesting.
So is it more funny? Like, do they tell jokes, like the banter between them, or is it just like one-on-one interesting?
It's a little of both. It depends on who his guest is.
Okay.
So like the first episode is him and Larry David. So they're at this little coffee shop and they're talking about how Larry David's talking about how he gave up drinking coffee a few years ago, and his ex-wife used to get really upset about it because they'd had a ritual of every morning they'd get up, they'd make some coffee, and they'd sit in the kitchen and they'd talk. Well, he switched to tea, and she was like, "It's just not the same. It's not. You screwed everything up."
It's true. Tea is not the same. No.
Well, and he's like, "What's the difference? I'm sitting there and I'm drinking. I got the coffee cup. I'm drinking out of it. You can't tell what's in my cup. For all you know, it is coffee. So how does it make the whole situation any different?" And Jerry's like, "No, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Because you're changing the complete premise of it."
Look, coffee is the only thing that is in itself a beverage and a meal. You can't be like, "Hey Jay, you want to get a pork chop?" It's not right. But I can be like, "Hey Jay, you want to go get some coffee?" And it's fine.
Right. Yeah. So it's just it's little things like that. And so he'll talk to some of the other comedians that he's worked with, and they'll tell stories and talk about other people's bits and stuff like that. And then, like I said, the car's interesting.
Right.
So like the car in the first episode was like a '53 Volkswagen Beetle or something like that, early '50s. That's the one with Larry David. I'm like, "Oh, you're taking the Jew in the Nazi car? All right, cool." But the turn signals, they weren't like lights, like blinkers. You flip the thing and like a little stick or something like that pops out the side with a little thing on the end. That was your turn signal.
Really?
So you had to know to be looking like right at the doorpost to see if the turn signal popped.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So
that actually reminds me of another show I've been watching, a faux reality show called Burning Love.
yeah, you were telling me about that one.
It's amazing. Damn, is it amazing? So I was looking for a new show to I had like an hour downtime. I'm like, let's see what's on the Hulus. And it recommended Burning Love. And the image is just Ken Marino, the guy from Party Down and Marry Me, shirtless wearing a fireman's hat. And I'm like, no thank you. Moving on. Next recommendation, it said Burning Love, season 1, and then had an image of a girl with Ken Marino in the background and then Michael Ian Black in the other background. I'm like, okay. I don't recognize the girl. Like, I recognize her, but I don't know her name. I remember them as all being funny. I will inquire about this show.
Okay.
So Burning Love is a faux reality show produced by Ben Stiller, directed by Ken Marino, and written by Ken Marino's wife, whose name I don't recall. IMDb it. The whole thing is supposed to be like The Bachelor. He's a fireman, and 7 women are trying to come, or however women start to come date him.
Right.
And the whole thing is obviously written, but it is hilarious. So Kristen Bell is one of the women who plays Mandy, this crazy religious person.
Of course.
Where everything is a sin. And like you just have all these different characters. One girl who's pregnant, who's trying to hide it. Like, they hide it in TV by like holding a bag.
Yeah,
or
they'll like stand behind the couch. Or,
right.
Yeah.
So she does that the whole time. And then she gives birth. It's like, I didn't know she was pregnant. How did I not? Like, and he plays it so well. Like, the whole show is phenomenal. I just finished season 1.
Okay.
There's season 2, obviously a different person.
Right.
One of the girls who lost in season 1
becomes the Bachelor. Yeah, I read a little bit about the show.
Yeah, and it's so funny, and it has a lot of big names. And one of the biggest name celebrity, she gets kicked off in the very first episode. You don't know it's her. As it turns out, I'll tell you. So someone shows up in a panda costume, like a whole panda costume. And you hear her talk.
So is she a furry? Is that the whole?
So that's what I thought too. I'm like, this is great. And you can hear her talk. You're like, oh, you sound vaguely familiar, but kind of muffled. And she's like, I just don't want my looks to interfere. I want you to know me. So
Right.
already he never talks to her at all the whole episode and boots her.
Oh no.
She gets back in the limo, takes off her mask, and you're like, oh my God. That's really funny. And then I found out she was in the bear costume the whole time. Like this huge A-list celebrity just was like in it. Just in.
That was the first episode?
That was the first
All right,
episode.
I'm going to have to watch the first episode.
It's
to see
great.
that.
Yeah. It's a really funny show, so I recommend it.
So I was reading a little bit about it, and I think it said there's been 4 seasons so far.
Okay, 3 are on Hulu then.
Okay. Maybe it was 3.
Oh.
Anyways, they're talking about the prize on season 3 or season 4 or something like that. They're competing not necessarily to win like a marriage or whatever, but it's a $900 cash prize. And I'm like, that is the most random number. Yeah, look, $900.
And it's funny too because like everything in it's like funny. Like, you know, he gives him the rose.
Yeah.
Well, since he's a fireman, it's always like, will you please take my hose? It's a hose. And like some girls like grab it like really awkwardly once. Some like are like overly sexual with it. It's really funny.
Oh.
I don't want to ruin everyone that's in it for you. Wait till you see Ballerina. She's awesome.
Okay.
Just watch it burn in love.
What is the length on these episodes? Are they like half hour, hour?
They are 20-minute episodes,
20 minutes,
and it's
okay.
only 7. Like Jess and I watched all of season 1 on Monday night.
Okay.
There's only 7 episodes or 20 minutes. We probably binge watched more than we should,
Well.
but we were in 100% in.
Nice.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Uh,
Also, just there's out there the comedian. You'll laugh about this. The comedians in cars getting coffee. I think it was like our first episode or second episode. We were making fun of different services out there. We were talking about Netflix and
Yeah,
Hulu,
yeah.
and we were like, yeah, and like Voodoo and Crackle. Like who the hell watches Crackle?
nobody watches Crackle.
That's where I found the show. Is Crackle. Damn it! I was on my Xbox 360 just messing around. And I'm like, I wonder what the hell's even on
What's
Crackle.
on Crackle?
So I open it up and it's like the first thing on there. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. So now I almost want to go and see what else they have on Crackle.
So Burning Love was a Yahoo original.
Yeah. So,
And they're doing the new episode of Community.
yeah.
So awesome. I have no movies.
No, I don't.
The only movies I've been watching have been animated shorts, the DreamWorks animated shorts Halloween editions. I don't know why you're making that face. Like, you know, like Shrek Halloween and Monsters vs. Aliens Halloween.
I didn't know they existed.
So oh yeah.
all right.
And they're all on Netflix. They're funny. Watch them. So let's move into comics.
Okay.
I have a larger stack than you, like as per usual.
Yeah. No, I don't. Like I was saying, I don't know what the heck happened. I used to get 8 to 10 books a week, and now I get like 3, 4,
There's not.
and I didn't drop anything.
Yeah, there's not one book in my pull this week I'm not looking forward to reading or talking about. There are some that after I read them, I was looking forward to it. I was no longer excited about.
Okay.
That's neither here nor there. Sinestro, Future's End, number 26. Earth 2, World's End, number 4. For those of you who don't understand the difference, the whole Future's End takes place because of Earth 2 ending and becoming all infesting their world. So that hence the World's End explains how
I'm just as confused as you are. Don't worry.
there's 2 Earths, Earth 1,
There's
Earth
52
2.
Earths.
Okay,
Come on.
but the ones we're talking about, Earth 2 had their apocalypse war, so they tried to leave. I don't know, I wanted to show you that cover. It's creepy. They wanted to leave, so they all came to our Earth, kind of brought the apocalypse war with them, hence Future's End. Right?
What the hell is this?
I don't know, but
Okay, first of all, is that Mara or is that Aqua Woman?
that is Mara, Earth 2 Mara.
Okay. And that's Pregnant Death?
I don't know. I don't know.
Kind of what it looks like. Also, who's that? That looks ominous. Sorry, it's so this. If you're not looking at the cover,
See?
is it the
They're all
others?
floating dead Atlanteans.
Okay, so if you look up the cover to Earth 2 World's End, it's kind of this weird underwater battle scene, and I'm just seeing bodies floating in the background, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And if it is the others, that's fine because they're super lame.
It's not. In Earth 2, Aquaman's already been dead.
Oh,
Mara's the one really rocking that ship.
okay,
So in Earth 2, all the big name heroes are already dead.
okay,
So like Batman is actually Thomas Wayne.
right, yeah.
Yeah, all this other crazy stuff. It's really good. I've been really enjoying Earth 2.
So is that their attempt at the Ultimate Universe?
Yes.
Okay,
And it's doing pretty well. I've been
Except it's
enjoying it.
ending.
Earth 2 is not ending,
Oh, okay,
but the writer is leaving.
okay.
So no, Ultimate Earth is ending. Marvel's Ultimate
Right.
is ending.
Well, they've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, but now they're saying it's really going to happen. Anyways, Wolverine and the X-Men, all new X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Nova. And those are the 2 I will review. before you move on to your books,
Okay.
it dawned on me there is movie news we need to talk about. Phase 3.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit!
Well, okay.
How are we not talking about
I don't
this?
think we even talked about the DC announcement on our last episode. They announced they're all their movies
I
too.
don't care. We can talk about it. You guys need to know. I'm sorry. Don't let my influence sway you. Don't fucking watch them.
Go ahead. Okay, well, regardless if you're looking forward to them or not, it's still big news that they're making these movies.
Yeah, no, and I'm absolutely. No, let's not kid ourselves. I may not want to watch them, but I'm going to.
Well, yeah. So on the DC side, you've got
Aquaman, Green Lantern,
which is not going to be Ryan Reynolds, Hal Jordan. It may still be Hal Jordan. We don't know for sure.
I don't think it was as bad as everybody said it was.
I actually have it at home right now. I'm going to rewatch it this weekend.
There you
go. Speaking to that, there's rumors that, and you and I talked about this when we were in Boise, there's rumors that the movie's actually going to be a female Green Lantern.
I know.
Which could be interesting.
It would be interesting if it was a female Green Lantern that's established or mattered. This pisses me off so much, and I know you and I have personally had this conversation. I'm going to sound like a bigot and a racist now. We're going to have the conversation now. You know it's not equality, people? Taking something and just changing it to placate people. That's not fucking equality. I'm all about equality. I'm all about racial equality. I'm all about gender equality. I'm all about sexuality equality. What I'm not about is pandering.
Absolutely, yeah.
Saying, I'm going to make this random person Helena Jordan to pander to women, that's just fucking pandering. That's not equality.
Right.
Taking Nick Fury and making him black, although he did a great job. I'm not saying he didn't. That's just pandering. Like, why not make their own character with their own background, with their own authority?
Don't just take an existing thing and change it to make people happy.
Yeah.
Make something new. Thor, yes.
Yes, thank you. So, that bothers me, but carry on. I'm sorry. I'm ranting.
So anyways, and that's just, it's one person at Newsarama put an article out there. A lot of people got behind the idea. But it could be, it could be Simon Baz. It could be Kyle Rayner. It could be Guy Gardner.
John Stewart.
There's a lot of evidence that it would be John Stewart because of his historical involvement in the Justice League animated series. Which, if you're turning this all into a Justice League movie, which we know they are, that would make sense.
Well, I mean, we already know that Batman vs. Superman #2 is called Justice League.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That they're heading that way.
There's the Shazam movie.
So there's the Shazam movie, which you're going to have, obviously, The Rock playing Black Adam.
Yep.
We don't know who's going to be Shazam yet.
Doesn't matter, dude. Rock can play them both.
Right.
Oh my God, can you be whiteface and blackface in it? Oh, that'd be awesome.
Do you smell what Shazam is cooking?
Yes.
With my lightning. So we got those. I'm trying to remember what else there was now.
There's Wonder Woman, Flash,
right,
Cyborg,
which they've supposedly cast Flash already.
Yeah, they announced it.
Yeah,
we'll
see if it sticks because that movie's not coming out for 3 years.
Well, the big deal with the Flash announcement, and while it's going to stick, is the actor portraying him as an openly gay actor, and he's the first openly gay actor cast in a DC comic movie.
Right, which who gives a fuck?
I agree. It was funny because the original article was first openly gay character cast in a comic movie, and then they retracted that because maybe Sir Ian McKellen may have.
Well,
he may be in that.
Maybe. I think he had a small role.
A hinting of a role.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care that. That's not news to me. If he can act, that's what I care about.
Do the character, that's all I care. But yeah, so that was. I think that's most of the DC
I'm pretty sure I got them all. And then Marvel.
On the Marvel side, we've got
Black Panther.
Black Panther, which is big because they've been saying they want a. I thought this was funny. They've been saying they want a solo black-led movie for a while.
I just wanted a fucking Black Panther movie because it's awesome.
Well, here's my thing. I've heard that specifically. We want them to do a big. Why they got all these white superheroes? Why can't we have a movie about a black superhero? And then I'm like, shit, Spawn.
Spawn was black, that's right.
I'm not saying it was a good movie, but it happened.
Not only that, Nick Fury's black, and he actually runs the Avengers. He's the black dude in charge of the white.
They wanted it starring.
And a lot of people thought it was going to be the Falcon movie, but instead, you're right.
Which I'm fine with Black Panther.
And the concept art looks sick.
Yeah, so you got Black Panther. They're going to do a Captain Marvel movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Which is the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel. They're going to do, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Deadpool.
We all knew that the next Captain America was going to be Civil War.
Yep.
But they officially announced that.
That's
Although, from what I read, they tried to throw the crowd off a bit. They originally announced it as a different movie at the beginning of the presentation.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So they said it was going to be Captain America, something else. I don't remember what it was. And then halfway through, they're like, "Yeah, just kidding. We're gonna do Civil War, like we told you."
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome. The Avengers number 3 and 4 were both announced.
Yeah.
Infinity War Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So that we know Thanos is going to make it around with the gauntlet.
Yep.
Doctor Strange, who's going to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, so I've been hearing mixed things. I heard they announced it, but then I heard they didn't really announce it yet.
They didn't announce it officially. What has been officially announced is that they submitted to him a final offer that is under review by his agent.
Now, as somebody who has never watched Sherlock yet, I don't know what his acting is. I don't.
Did you watch the new Star Trek movie?
No.
He's Khan.
No, I have not watched it yet.
Did you watch the second Hobbit movie? He plays Smaug, the voice of Smaug.
Well, that does no good. And plus, I did not like that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you find it boring?
Absolutely. And way too long.
Right.
And an awkward ending.
Well, the ending wasn't so awkward because I know it's part of a trilogy, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but it was just one of those things where, the dragon escaped, now it's flying over the town, and credits.
Yeah. But aren't the other Lord of the Rings movies kind of long, too?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the regular cuts. I could not imagine reading or watching the extended cuts.
Oh, I have. In one sitting.
Oh, God.
All 3.
It's terrible.
It's like flashbacks all of a sudden.
They left like a little Agent Orange in you.
Not that I don't like those movies, but all 3 in one's extended edition. It's long. But yeah, so that is some movie news to talk about.
There it is. We didn't watch any movies, but
movie news.
Talking about movies. All right.
Your pulse.
Okay, so like this small week again, I had Batman Eternal.
Yep.
I had Sinestro number 6, and then I picked up Rasputin number 1 from Image Comics,
Which I'm totally looking forward to hearing about.
Yeah.
So why don't I put you on the spot and you start with that one?
I will start with Rasputin number 1.
It's a Russian book, so please numero uno. Thank you.
Niet.
Yeah.
By the way, I had some delicious pelmani this week. I don't know if you ever had pelmani.
No, we talked about it on our last trip, wherever we were.
Probably in Boise. Yeah. I found another new place in Seattle. They actually, the other place I've been to, they have it pre-made, and they just, when you order it, they throw it in the pot of boiling water and
it's not the same.
These guys make it from scratch. Like, you order it, and they're like, all right, let me make the dough and.
That's like the Chinese dumpling place I went to in Bellevue. As soon as you order it, they start making it, and then they 10 minutes later.
Yeah, so this took about 25 minutes. I wasn't expecting it to take that long, because like I said, I'm used to just throwing in a pot of boiling water, and 5 minutes later you have it. But it was so good. And it had, they have different sauces you can get on it.
Ooh.
So I got the KGB sauce.
Shut up.
Which is their spicy sauce.
What was inside of the little thing?
I had pork.
See, why didn't they call it the KG Beasts then?
No. So it's the sauce, just the sauce.
Okay.
So you get your pork pelmani or your chicken pelmani, and then there's different sauces. The KGB sauce is their spicy sauce. They spell spicy SPYCY, like spy.
Yeah.
I'm like, done. You're good.
All right, we got to go there, you and I.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So anyways,
Rasputin.
I'd heard a lot of press about this in the last week that it was coming out. I didn't really know what it was about per se, other than it's about the legend of Rasputin, which I'm not familiar with. You said you've heard of it.
Oh, absolutely.
I hadn't heard of it.
I have the official biography because,
Right. I love their tagline on their splash page here. It's Rasputin, based on true-ish events.
Awesome.
So this was good. I have no clue who any of the people involved with this book is. When I first saw the cover, I saw that the colorist was Plasencia, which I assumed was FCO Plasencia, who's been working on. I know him. I originally got introduced to him on the Invincible book, and then he's been doing a lot of stuff in Batman.
Yeah.
He's doing colors over. What is the Capullo? Greg Capullo.
Yeah, the Batman book.
Yeah. I can remember the artist's name.
Yeah, Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo.
Yeah. This is not FCO Plasencia, though.
It's Ivan.
This is Ivan Plasencia, which I'm assuming is a relative.
Don't be stereotypical, man. It just could be common last names.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Very common last name I've never seen anywhere else. But essentially, so this is opens up and Rasputin's at a dinner party, And essentially he's saying, I understand death. I know when death's going to happen. I know when I'm going to die. And I'm going to die here tonight at this dinner party at the hands of one of my closest friends that I've invited here tonight. And you see around the room, there's a couple people around him, including some weird ghosts behind him. The waitress or server brings him a glass of wine, and he says, I know this glass of wine is poisoned, and I'm going to die very soon after drinking it.
Like, that is the most boss move ever.
So what does he do? Toast. And drinks it.
Like a boss.
And then all of a sudden, flashback to Siberia, where he grew up, and you kind of get an idea of his life when he was younger. He's got a very drunk, abusive father who hits his mother. At one point, he hits his mother, and he tries to get in the way and, like, protect his mom, so his dad hits him.
Sure.
And then you see them out in the woods. His dad's chopping wood and handing it to him to hold or whatever, and they come across the bear. So his dad's this big, burly Russian badass guy. So what's he do? He fights the bear. Because
Zangief would do it. Why not?
yeah, absolutely. So you see the scene of the bear. Let me see if I can get to this. The bear and his dad the bear's like swiping at him with his claws. His dad's got an axe. He's cutting at the bear. They're fighting. Before this happens, you see that he has kind of the power over death. When his dad is hitting his mom, he essentially kills her, and Rasputin uses his powers to bring her back to life.
Okay.
So he has the power over death, whatever. So the bear and his dad do this big brawl. It gets to the point where his dad's barely alive, and the bear is barely alive or dead or something like that. So he's got a choice to make.
It was barely alive?
Yeah, barely alive. It was a beer. Damn.
I was going to ask you if it was a beer, not a bear.
Anyways, so he has this choice. It's like, do I use my abilities to save my dad or not? And he chooses not. He goes and he heals the bear instead.
Smart choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So the bear's like his friend now.
Oh, seriously? They pal around after that?
From what I can tell, I mean, oh no, sorry. I guess the bear does leave in the last panel. So then it cuts back to the dinner party, and you see that the ghost behind him in the first couple pages is actually the ghost of his dad. And he's talking about how he's the son of his dad, and his dad was this big, strong guy, whatever. And then you see him drink the wine.
Okay.
And that's the end of the book.
I'm looking forward to this one. I originally was going to trade this one. I may actually swing by the shop and pick up a single issue of that. I'm in the neighborhood. I kind of want to read it.
Yeah, and it was like I was saying earlier, like, you are familiar with the whole legend.
Sure
I am not. So I'm kind of interested if you do pick it up in singles to talk about it, see your point of view, knowing the history behind, or the legend behind it, and me being introduced to it through the comic.
Totally. Like, it's a very well-known, like, there's a beer Rasputin, which the imagery is the same imagery of actual Rasputin.
Okay.
And I know in Russia, from what I was told from a former coworker of mine who was a linguist in Russia, whose name we don't need to mention.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that there are people who had the name of Rasputin and then changed it.
Oh.
To no longer be associated with the ilk. So
the only Rasputin I know of is Pyotr Rasputin.
Pyotr.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Colossus.
Yeah. So
that awesome guy.
Which I wonder, now that I know this, I wonder if...
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He is part of the Rasputin lineage.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have the 4-part issue. It was a 4-part miniseries called Colossus Bloodlines.
Okay.
You do learn that it is, you go back generations, and it is part of his bloodline.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
so they kind of hinted that he was, Rasputin was a mutant.
Oh.
And hence his abilities.
Got it.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
It was actually one of the rare books where the cover art was so bad, but the interior art was really good.
So
because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah. So you're saying it was a Rob Liefeld cover?
Oh, no.
Okay.
That looks nice, just weird. Like, this was just, like, bad. Like, his chin was pointed and his nose, but everything was slender, but his body was bad.
Brett Blevins?
I don't recall who it was. It was a long time ago.
If you don't know Brett Blevins, I don't know if you're aware of Brett Blevins. He was one of the original artists on New Mutants, and that art was horrible.
Right. He did the speedball where, like, literally, like, his head was the same size as the rest of his body, like, all the way down, slender, gawky, awkward. My first book I'll review is going to be Nova. Nova, written by Dugan, who was also writing and is still writing.
Dub Dugan?
I wish. Jared Dugan. And he's also one of the co-writers on Deadpool. And for those of you in the Seattle area, he will be at the comic shop in Redmond November 8th, so check that out. Anyways.
I can do it.
What's that?
Nothing.
Not into Deadpool?
I don't. Yeah.
As you know, I don't care a thing about Deadpool.
Right.
Anyways, I do enjoy this book. And I still enjoy that when local comic shops bring celebrities out. Like, I think that's cool. You know what I mean? What are you looking at?
Trick or Treat with Nova and the X Kids.
Yeah.
Really?
Notice how the O in Nova is actually the Jean Grey Academy logo? Yeah.
Oh, good. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's awesome, right?
Crossover. Oh, they got Brew. All right.
Yeah, see? Oh, suddenly not so bad, is it?
I
They
make
got
fun
Kid
of that.
Gladiator.
I think Brew
They
is
got
one of the
Evan.
worst additions to the X-Men since Zorn. Come on.
Oh, Soren.
Or Beak.
Can we just please
Anyways,
ignore
okay.
Grant Morrison? Like, he's done no good. He broke up Jean Grey and Cyclops. He brought us Beak and Zorn and just
And
bad.
No Name.
No, I don't have time for this tomfoolery. Anyways, I've really been enjoying the Nova book. It's similar to the New Warriors book that I mentioned last time, where it's a fun read. The interesting about Nova is he's the only person that had a personal relationship with the Watcher. The Watcher actually spoke to him and divulged information, and he would go hang out with the Watcher. Like, they wouldn't talk because the Watcher just watches, but Nova would hang out with him, talk to him. And he would never, only once did he ever use words to affirm Nova or give him an answer, but he would always kind of push him in the right direction or help him along without words and stuff.
Okay.
So it starts off with him lamenting the loss of the Watcher because now Original Sin is over. He goes off, he doesn't want to go trick-or-treating, but he actually, since he's one of the new warriors, gets a text from one of the girls on the X-Men that was meant to be Speedball. She put the wrong number into her cell phone.
It happens.
So he rolls up and she's like, "Oh, I meant to message Speedball."
Which X character is it?
Her.
I have no clue who that is.
She's a hummingbird. So, anyways,
Is that the Yeti? What was that?
that's Beasts.
Oh, he looks almost like white in that white
Yeah,
fur.
the coloring's really bad. If you see here, he's actually blue. You see there, it's blue.
Is
It's
that
bad
what Beast
coloring.
looks like now?
Yeah, he had another mutation.
Oh, why? Poor Henry McCoy.
So he had another mutation because he's experimenting on himself.
Did somebody call up Grant and be like, "Hey, what can I do to make this interesting?" Third mutations.
This he did it to himself. Anyways, so they decided to go trick or treating. So they go trick or treating. There's some kids who are stealing candy from other neighborhood kids.
Of course.
They stop it. It's just fun. It's just silly. Like, there's not a huge lasting effect to that issue. It's probably the same reason that I love Halloween episodes. Where I'm just like, hey!
I was gonna say, how do you feel about very event-centric comics like the Christmas issues and?
I love them. I fucking love them, man.
All right. Well,
I can't wait for because
gotta be
every year
somebody that's in the audience,
DC
you know?
releases every year a Halloween edition and Christmas. It's like little stories. I love them. The other thing I find is he's also very associated. He's really tied in with the Avengers.
Okay.
This book does a great job of him flying off to do something with the Avengers, and then him coming back. They don't bring it into the book usually.
Okay.
So here you see him flying off because Captain America called him. And
So-
he even commented, "Oh, I think they probably meant the other Sam." And they're like, "Nope, they asked for you." So he flies off.
Okay. So this is a book where you don't have to be reading all the other things to understand what's
Nope,
going on.
no effect in it. Like, it has effect because the things happen, like Original Sin, the Watcher dies.
Right.
But he'll give you enough backstory in the dialogue that the other books don't matter.
Okay.
Like, he's flying off to do stuff with the Avengers and even comments, "There's weird things going on with the Avengers. I'm going to go check it out." And there is weird stuff with, the whole World's End thing. So when he comes back, it's not going to be like, "Oh, I need to get this to understand that." Nope. It's just going to be like, nope, Nova's just back to doing his Nova stuff.
Okay.
And speaking of Nova, the next book I'll read, when you're done, we'll explain what happened to Richard Rider.
Okay.
The best Nova.
I have no preference. They're all good Novas.
They're-
Except that one. He's a supernova. Yes, that was a star joke. Because they have stars on their head.
Lord, why?
Okay, the other book.
Tell me about Sinestro.
The other book I'm going to talk about is Sinestro. So this is part 6 of Act 1 of Godhead, which just makes me dread the future.
How long is it going to go on for?
I think there's 3 acts.
There are 3 acts in God's Head.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Anyway, so as you may remember from past weeks, the new gods are trying to figure out how to harness the power of all the rings in order to access this source wall to stop Darkseid.
Everything you said so far makes a lot of sense to me. Continue.
Yes, that was factual information. In this issue, it starts out, we see Sinestro talking to some of his inner circle of the Sinestro Corps, trying to figure out what to do because, as you may remember in the last issue of Sinestro, it was in the Godhead one-shot. Is that what it's called, Godhead?
It was not the Godhead one-shot. Are you talking about when the Green Lanterns show up asking for help?
No. When the new gods show up to...
That was the one-shot thing, yes.
When they show up to New Korugar, and Lysidrak says they're going to come and they're going to kill you, and Sinestro's like, hey, Tap Tap, you, go meet him. And they kill the other guy instead.
They didn't kill him. They just cut off his hand and took his ring.
They cut off his hand, yeah.
Arkillo.
Yes, who is here without a hand. So everyone's like, you were kind of a coward. What are you going to do? And he's like, I was saving myself so I could come up with a plan to defend our people.
Good for you, Sinestro.
Right?
Yeah.
Way to spin that shit.
Proud of you, buddy.
So they're like, what are you going to do now? And he's asking Lysidrak, like, you saw the future before I was going to die. Now that that's all happened, what's it going to be now? So I don't remember what she says. She's like, I see death. So pretty much a bunch of people are still going to die.
That's fair.
Yeah. And she sees people from all the different corps. So the Sinestro Corps, he gives Arkillo his hand back and says, I'm going to let you get back into my good graces. We're going to go find them, and we're gonna take care of these new gods.
Now, don't you think it's funny? Arkillo lost his tongue and got it replaced by one of the, construct tongues.
Right.
He then got his actual tongue back. Now he lost his hand and has now a construct hand.
Eventually he'll have a real hand again.
Yeah, I understand that, but what part's next?
I don't want to think about that.
Oh, no, Jay.
No.
Don't.
Yeah.
This is a child-friendly show.
Well, I'm saying his tail, right? That's what you're talking about?
Tail?
He has a tail, doesn't he?
Arkillo does not have a tail.
I swear he has a tail.
Go back to the very front page where they showed him full standing up straight. Front page. No tail. Arkillo has
You can't see the back of him.
no tail.
I'm pretty sure he has a tail. Anyways, so then you find out that the new gods are now attacking the Indigo tribe on their planet Nock, which I didn't realize their planet was named Nock, and
That's
all
the
I
only
can
word-
say is Nock.
Guess they can only say no.
That'd be like, all I can say is Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Earth.
Okay.
Or if I'm Will Smith, Earth.
Earth.
So the Green Lanterns are there. They're helping the Indigo tribe fight off the new gods. And then all of a sudden, the Sinestro Corps shows up, and they're like, we're going to help you.
It's awfully kind of Sinestro.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's this big battle going on, and then all of a sudden you see...
no tail on the back of Arkillo.
When you can't see his back, yeah. Anyways, so at some point, Arkillo, who is in charge of the first group of Sinestro...
Wave?
Well, the first platoon.
Oh, wave.
Well, it's not wave, because they're all there at the same time.
Okay.
So in a battalion, your first platoon is your best. Anyways, so he gets the first group and he's like, all right, guys, we're out of here. And then as they're leaving, Sinestro all of a sudden detonates.
Squad is what he called it. I apologize.
Squad, yes. He initiates a self-destruct on a bunch of the Sinestro Corps people's rings. So the next page you see is just a bunch of the Sinestro Corps blowing up. So that was how Sinestro was getting rid of some of his people he didn't think were worthy to be in his corps.
So for those of you who may remember our original review on this book is Sinestro comes back into power. Arkillo's been leading it, and some of the Sinestro Corps members don't want to follow Sinestro. They're saying he's weak and he's not worthy enough. So essentially this is how he gets rid of the mutiny. He just kills them all.
Right? That's how you do it.
That's what I would do if I was, him.
So yeah, that's the end of this book. So now you've got Sinestro Corps down a few lesser people.
They'll find new ones.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Corps not that big anyways.
Nope.
So...
It's not the smallest core. I guess the smallest core is the orange.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
Well, there's still one ring.
No, well, but the new gods have it.
Yeah, the ring still exists. I read Guardians of the Galaxy number 20. Seriously, original sin still.
Right?
Right?
Well, we did have an annual, so they got to keep the title out there.
Why does a book that only had 8 issues get a fucking annual?
I don't know.
I thought annual meant year.
right?
Regardless.
Well, it's been going for a year.
It feels like
Between
it.
the prequels and the sequels and the tie-ins and
The
the
follow-in,
cousins
and wait till we get the what-ifs. Anyways, Guardians of the Galaxy number 20. We finally find out what happened to Richard Nova on the other side of the Cancerverse.
Why is the Martian Manhunter on the cover?
That is Drax.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the Martian Manhunter.
That's Drax, yo. Drax the Destroyer.
It's weird that Marvel ripped off the Martian Manhunter.
Drax has actually been around since Timely Comics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before Marvel property.
All right.
Anywho. So we find out Gamora's been beating up essentially Star-Lord, torturing him, trying to figure out what the information is. What happened. When we last saw the Cancerverse, a lot of stuff happened I don't care about. All this issue could have been told in like 3 pages. And it's what I said about the last Original Sin tie-in. It's like they told Bendis, hey, here's this story. And Bendis is like, I can do that in an issue. And they go, we need you to do it in 5. That's essentially what they've been doing, is stretching the shit out of this story. The way it ends is Richard Rider on the Cancerverse, the Revengers, which is their version of the Avengers, but evil, get the Cosmic Cube. They fight Thanos. Thanos gets it. Richard Rider gets it from him. He uses himself as a portal to bring back Drax and Star-Lord from the Cancerverse. Here's a couple things about this that bother me. 1, Drax was never in the Cancerverse until this, in which case, Bendis said, oh, you know who was there too? Drax. Which despite, if you read Thanos Imperative, he wasn't there. It's neither here nor there, though. So Nova uses himself as the door with the Cosmic Cube to let Drax and Star-Lord back. Unknowingly, Thanos came back as well. So he sacrificed himself in the process and died. He did it because he loves Gamora and always wanted to be with her, which I never remember from reading any of the Nova books because Namorita was his girl. And I've read every issue of Nova. So that was also just kind of weird thrown in there. So the whole thing is he was the portal. They all came back, killed himself in the process, and that's it. That's why he's gone and everyone else survived.
Okay, so I have 2 things. I flipped through this book. I have 2 things I want to point out.
Please do.
1, did Greg Land do this particular panel? Because that looks like it's pulled out of a porno. For those of you that I don't know
He's
these
supposed
characters.
to be wincing. Thanos is supposed to be wincing in pain, not about to have a money shot.
Yeah. So you got Thanos on the ground, and you've got
That's Nova. That is helmet on.
You've got Nova kind of standing over him, straddling him. Yeah, and it looks like a money shot's about to happen.
Yeah, it does.
Or is happening with all this. Maybe this is all his cosmic money shot here.
Yeah, that is.
Second, the most interesting thing I saw in this book was not any of the actual pages, but the Spider-Man watch. The case that Spider-Man watch comes in is a Spider-Man head. You flip the face open and there's a watch inside.
Much like Iron Man's helmet comes up, that's what happens to Spider-Man's
That is the most
face.
interesting thing to me in this entire book.
No, I got to be honest with you. It was very much... They forced him to fill it in with a...
Also, you've got gay secret squirrel over here. Fabulous!
So, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved the original incarnation when DNA wrote it. I loved the original in the 70s. Like, I've been loving Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not loving this run that Bendis has been doing. I get that they're trying to make everything more like the movie. Like, Rocket is now becoming more like the movie. Before, he wasn't as murderous. He wasn't as snarky, but they're making it more like the movie. They even changed Star-Lord's costume out of the blue. They changed Gamora's attitude. Like, they've been changing a lot of things slowly to fit the movie, and that's fine. I get you're going towards, the general public, and that movie was huge. What I don't like is all these stories just seem like wasted time filler stories where I'm reading 2 pages, 3 pages of content in 30 pages.
Okay.
I feel like I'm throwing my money away because of it.
Right.
Like when I read Witches, I felt like I got an entire book in that book. Some of these other books I've been reading, Future End, All New, All New X-Men's feeling like it's been stretched out a little bit as well. But a lot of the other books on my polls, I feel like I'm getting the whole book in that book. Guardians, I feel like it's just being stretched out. If it wasn't a book that I have every issue ever published on,
Right. Yeah.
I would drop it.
Yeah. No, I have that same problem.
But since I have every issue ever published, I
you
just
gotta
keep
pull it off like a band-aid.
just gotta no
Done.
no. Instead, I just gonna let the wind win and just keep buying it, so I have the collection.
All right. Well, that's your choice.
I know. Like, I'm not saying I'm making the right choice. I'm saying I'm making that choice.
Yeah. No. Fair enough.
So yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
I know it's a pretty meh review on it, but it is what it is. Like, I can't fix Bendis' writing, which is weird because he didn't like his Ultimate stuff was always really good.
It's because everything in Ultimate was his.
Yeah, and
It
that
was
may be
his
true.
sandbox. He built it. He put the sand in there. He made the toys.
He played, yeah.
He's
Okay.
not dealing with other people's characters. He's like, I made up the story behind this character.
I really enjoyed his Daredevil stuff, but this is just.
I wouldn't know. Somebody's never brought those books for me to read.
I'm not bringing you the Bendis one.
Oh,
That is a 132 volume set.
I got time.
You know what then? I'll bring you. I literally have a long box of Bendis' run and the new run of Daredevil. I'll just bring you the freaking long
There you go.
box. You can read through the whole thing.
I'll read it in a week and then
Learn
I'll
about-
review it the next week.
Learn about Lady. You heard it. I heard it. He's going to read my entire long box of Daredevil in 1 week and review it.
Provided that you actually bring it.
Oh, I'll bring you the long box if you're going to
It's
do it in a
already
week.
been brought.
It's on. No, it's on.
Whoa. All right, you got anything else to add? No? All right, thanks for watching Pop and Culture this week. We'll be back at our regular time next week, provided that we have no intruders. There we go.
Have a great week.
Thanks.